Hey, you know that writing process that used to work and now suddenly it doesn't? It's okay. I'm giving you permission to change your writing process. Let's talk about it. You know that feeling when something's off with your writing routine? Maybe your morning writing sessions, they're not as productive as they once were, or your outlining method, the one that everybody swears by. Suddenly, when you're trying it, now it doesn't click for you. Today we're talking about what to do when that happens because it probably will, and how it's completely normal when it does. First, let's talk about why processes change. Uh, just like you evolve as a writer, your process needs to evolve too. And so it's like I said, it's completely normal when that happens. And it could be that sometimes we're taking on new or different types of projects, or we've developed new skills as a writer, or even something as simple as your schedule changing. That can cause feelings of resistance to how you've done things in the past. And that resistance point, I want you to pay attention to that because it really is actually a sign of growth. Here's how to spot those resistance patterns. Are you procrastinating more than usual? Are you finding excuses to skip your writing sessions completely? Or are you getting frustrated with, you know, the steps that you normally would take and how they would flow in the past? Now you're getting stuck. These are all signs that it really is time for a change. So, what do you do? Let's talk about adaptation. Start by identifying exactly where you're getting stuck and what part of the process is it no longer flowing for you. Is it in the initial brainstorming stage? Is it during revisions? Where is this happening? Because when you identify exactly what's happening and where, that allows you to make changes. So think of those sticking points as evolution markers because they're telling you this is what needs to change. You may not have to throw out the entire process, but you do need to pay attention to exactly what it is in your routine that needs to change. I'll give you a couple of examples. I had a client who swore by making very detailed outlines. She loved doing her outlines, which is great. I am a fan of outlining also. But then it seemed that she started having difficulty doing those detailed outlines. And so through our conversations, we discovered that she was more comfortable because she had developed her voice more. She was more comfortable just writing down a few bullet points. But what had stopped her initially from thinking that she could do that, that it would be wise to do that, was no, this is how I've always done it. So this is how I have to continue to do it. Another client, she used to only write exclusively. The only time she would touch her draft was in the morning. But when her schedule changed with her job, she realized that that wasn't possible anymore. And so, of course, at the very beginning, there was a bit of panic. What am I going to do if I can't write in the morning? And that's understandable. And so she tried getting up earlier. That didn't really work well, and it was really just allowing herself the permission to maybe move it into her lunch hour that gave her the space to see, okay, I can make changes to my process, and it doesn't mean that I'm never going to write again, because we all get those swirling thoughts, right? If we change something, I think writers are very superstitious. If we change something, we'll lose our mojo and we'll never be able to write again. No, we can make note of what exactly it is that we're experiencing and move on. Which brings us to an important point, and something that if you're experiencing some resistance and you think that maybe a change in your process might help, this is where you get to implement new things and find out exactly what's going to work for you now. So again, you've made note of exactly where you're getting stuck. And so now the next step is to try a few experiments. We can play around with this. It is okay, right? Because in the process of playing around, experimenting with different processes to make sure that our process works for us, we're expanding our growth, right? We're expanding our repertoire as writers. You could try, a new time of day or writing in a different place. Change of environment really makes a big difference sometimes when you are feeling some resistance to your current process. Again, it's up to you. You are in charge and you can make changes. It's okay and it will work for you. So, how do you know if you made the right change? Track your output. Remember, these are experiments. So, we're seeing exactly how things started in the beginning, how they're going toward in the middle of the experiment, and the output. That's the key. Those are your results. What result are you getting? Are the words flowing more easily? Are you enjoying your writing sessions more? All of these things are signs that you are on the right track. As we wrap up, here are a few action steps. I would love for you to identify one aspect of your process that's causing the friction. Two, change one small thing in your environment. Experiment with something in your process this week. And three, track how it affects both your output and your energy. Obviously, the goal isn't to find perfection in our process, in our output, in any of that, right? Done beats perfect every time. Remember, what you're doing is looking for something that actually works for you and works for you in the long term, even if the long term is only for the next month or through this next manuscript. You can change it. This gives you the freedom to experiment, to grow, to change. Drop a comment below. I'd love to know what part of the writing process you're thinking about changing and which one you will do in the next week. All right, done beats perfect. Let's write. Until next time.